There has been a philosophical route to control others since man could first convey a language or put it in writing. As soon as people had power, somebody had the inclination to control someone else. You can see a mirror image of society really watching little children even at a preschool. And you can see factions already starting at 4 years old. Who's going to be the strongest, who's the fastest, who can outwit the other guy, and who can bargain off the most Barbies and G.I. Joes to somebody else. George Bush Sr. just didn't stand up and say there's 1,000 points of light in a new world order. It didn't just start in '91.
What is at stake is more than one small country. It is a big idea, a new world order, where diverse nations are drawn together in common cause to achieve the universal aspirations of mankind: peace and security, freedom, and the rule of law.
You can sell anything, if you think about it. Look at the circus. And if they can sell and pitch their goods and hardware to people, and it makes people feel good even though it's a false sense of security, like we have to do this to protect you from yourself. Before you know it, they're raised up on that ivory tower, and it's no longer we're doing this to protect you from yourself, we're doing this to control you and manipulate you. If we don't do this for your own good, protect you from terrorism, give you national health care, because you're too stupid to pick your own health care, and you sure can't be trusted to build any highways or control the flow of water within your state or county, or dam it, or have a power plant or anything without our overbearing guidance. So you need to surrender all these skills and freedoms to us. If you were to analyze them mentally, many would be diagnosed as megalomaniacs and sociopaths. Everybody has varying degrees of desires, even sick people. How sick they want to be, how in charge they want to be. So some people will naturally be fine of just being in charge of a few thousand people. Others think in the size of nations. The best way to control a population is through resources. You don't gain much ground going door to door and kicking in doors and doing armed seizures. If you can control the ability for people to prosper and produce and to eat and to drink, then you control a population.
It's important to understand what the 5G is doing and what they say it's doing. We're told on the IEEE beamforming document that this technology cooked your eyes like eggs in World War II. And you all need to understand these are military weapons. These are assault frequencies. If you garner nothing more than that, that's what you need to know. It's microwave radiation warfare, is what this is.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming to the National Press Club Federal Communications Commission Chairman Tom Wheeler.
It's an honor to be here at the National Press Club. The first generation wireless, 1G, was voice. The second generation, 2G, allowed both talk and text. The third generation, 3G, the internet, in a limited way. And today's technology, 4G, completed that digital migration But if anyone tells you that they know the details of what 5G is going to become, run the other way.
This video is brought to you by the number 5 and the letter G. And pretty soon, everything else will be too.
I have to tell people 5G is a killer. I'm Mark Steele. Anybody who hasn't heard me, I'm a weapons systems head-up display expert, one of the leading experts in the world. I've actually broke cover in relation to this, and the reason I became an expert was because I invented them. What I'm going to say to you today, do not believe a single word I say. Not one. I want you to do your own research. You'll find it's absolutely terrifying. You got your body card?
Aye.
Oh, good lad. Right, because I can talk to that. This 5G roll-up is a weapon system. I've got a letter with central government because I know about weapon systems more than anything other.
In Britain, in a place in the north of England called Gateshead, a scientist there called Mark Steele has been very publicly and actively warning people about the effects of LED streetlights, which he says in Gateshead are emitting now 5G.
Right, what's the crack?
Hey, lads. I'm just having a word with these Gateshead council workers about replacing these transmitters on these lights that are causing harm and assaulting the community. This is an existential threat to the economy, to the environment and humanity.
If these transmitters are everywhere, then everyone's at risk, surely.
There's a lot of confusion about what 5G is. The G stands for generation. So you started off with the first transmitter system.
Back in the 1980s.
In the 80s, yeah. So you had 1G, then you had 2G. And as the generations moved on, you started to see more complex signal systems, cleverer pieces of antenna designs, etc., etc. So the whole thing became more data, quicker downloads, etc., etc. However, 5G is something completely different. All right, let's get a breakdown. Let's tell the people what this really is. This is the 5G transmission device. Blinking heck, that's a hell of a beast, that, isn't it? These are the uninsurable transmitters. Just get a good look at that, guys, because obviously I know there's quite a few experts who want to see more detail about the transmitters and the chipsets. Just have a good look, boys. This is the control management system masquerade. There's an antenna there, you see that? What is this phased array antenna here? What's that? This is for phased array, alright? As you'll see, it's got a driver, it's got some chip there. It's one chip. Look at the chipsets on this. This is your dystopian world. What did Gateshead Council say? I'll tell you what, I think we better send some of these educated fools back to school, or just send them to prison, whichever's the easiest. I think prison's probably better. Alright, that's 5G, guys. That's 5G hardware.
You must consider the whole part played by electricity in nature. Human beings cannot go on developing in the same way in an atmosphere permeated on all sides by electric currents and radiations. It has an influence on the whole development of man. This life of men in the midst of electricity, notably radiant electricity, will presently affect them in such a way that they will no longer be able to understand the news which they receive so rapidly. The effect is to damp down their intelligence. Such effects are already seen today. Even today, you can notice how people understand the things that come to them with far greater difficulty than they did a few decades ago. Rudolf Steiner, 1924. Rudolf Steiner noted that in 1924, since then our atmosphere has become far more permeated with electric waves of widely diverse types. There's no doubt now that electric waves, electromagnetic forces, cause direct biological effects. There's thousands of peer-reviewed papers on this subject. There's no doubt about it. But what are these effects? How are they affecting us? What can we do about it? We're now at a stage where we're putting in what's called 5G, which is a special type of broadcast for high-density information transfers. And it turns out that this is the same frequency bands that are used in crowd dispersal weaponry.
5G, first and foremost, is densification. So it's significantly more transmitters at close proximity to a human, and it is also a sophisticated, illegal, unlawful transmitter.
Water, when unmanipulated, is to find its level. So whether you look at a cup of water, a bathtub, a swimming pool, a lake, or the ocean, it's flat. Of course, natural motion is not considered and doesn't equal a curve. We have 0 authentic pictures of the Earth, and they're all composites, and NASA even admits that they Photoshop Earth images.
It is Photoshopped, but it's has to be.
On numerous occasions, NASA admits that we can't go beyond low Earth orbit, which is between 99 miles and 1,200 miles away. The interesting thing is that the moon is said to be 238,000 miles away, which is a difference of 236,800 miles. No matter if you're on the ground, on top of a building, a mountain, a hot air balloon, an airplane, or looking at high-altitude amateur balloon footage, the horizon never fails to rise right to your eyes. Whether you are looking at Toronto's skyline from Niagara on the lake, 31 miles away, Chicago's skyline from Union Pier, 43 miles away, or even Oahu from Kauai, which is up to 108 miles away from center to center, or 73 miles away from the closest points. You will not see any curvature where it's supposed to be. According to the Pythagorean theorem, which states that the curvature of the Earth is 8 inches per mile squared, Oahu should not be visible whatsoever, but you can see the whole thing. In 1887, Albert Michelson and Edward Morley conducted what's known as the Michelson-Morley experiment. This experiment was attempting to prove the speculated motion of the Earth around the Sun, and when it failed, Albert Einstein was forced to form the theory of relativity to overcome this problem. In fact, anytime mainstream science is faced with undesirable results, they create a workaround, which isn't real science at all. The Sun is claimed to be 93 million miles away, with a radius of over 400,000 miles, but can easily be proven to be much closer and smaller by tracing the crepuscular rays back to its origin in the sky. If the Sun were indeed 93 million miles away, it would simply be impossible to have angled sun rays, as they should all consistently come in straight. According to the globular theory, a lunar eclipse occurs when the Sun, Earth, and Moon are in a direct line, but it is on record that since about the 15th century, over 50 eclipses have occurred while both the Sun and Moon are visible above the horizon. F.H. Cook, The Terrestrial Plane. It's a common misconception that the shadow of the Earth causes moon phases. Even the pastors and priests of the science religion readily admit this fact. The interesting thing about moon phases is that they are always the exact same 8 phases repeated. But if we were circling around the Sun, these 8 phases would inevitably be reversed from the summer to winter seasons. I completely understand that the idea of a flattened stationary Earth seems ridiculous in many ways, but that's only because we are taught the false globe model from the very first time that we enter a school classroom. Not to mention the first time we are introduced to the concept of a flat Earth, it's depicted as a highly laughable world where ships, boats, and water would run off of the edge. So I do get it, but it's all part of the deception. I've spent 30 years of my life believing that we were on a spinning globe. It wasn't until I unbiasedly and scientifically investigated the flat Earth claims that I started to realize that there is more to this theory than I originally gave it credit for. Now, after almost 2 years of research, I'm certain that the Earth is flat. We are told that the Earth spins at 1,040 miles per hour, while the Earth travels around the Sun at 66,000 miles per hour. Meanwhile, the whole solar system is going inside the Milky Way galaxy at a speed of 490,000 miles per hour, and finally, the entire Milky Way galaxy is darting through infinite space at over 1 million miles per hour. Most people believe this, and yet every experiment ever conducted to prove even the simple spin of the Earth has failed. The same thing goes for curvature. It's never been proven, and the only time we see it is in movies, NASA CGI, or when we're looking through a distorted fisheye lens. With all that said, please continue to research critically and don't be afraid to ask reasonable questions and speak out.
Isaiah chapter 11, verse 12. And he shall set up a sign for the nations, and shall assemble the outcast of Israel, and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth. Revelations chapter 7, verse 1. And after these things I saw 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth, holding the 4 winds of the earth, that the wind shall not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. Job chapter 38, verse 13. That it might take hold of the ends of the earth, that the wicked might be shaken out of it. Daniel chapter 4, verse 11. The tree grew and was strong, and the height thereof reached unto heaven, and the sight thereof to the end of all the earth. Jeremiah chapter 16, verse 19. O Lord, my strength and my fortress, and my refuge in the day of affliction. The Gentiles shall come unto thee from the ends of the earth, and shall say, Surely our fathers have inherited lies, vanity, and things wherein there is no profit. Isaiah chapter 40, verse 22. It is he that sitteth upon the circle of the earth, and the inhabitants thereof are as grasshoppers, that stretcheth out as heavens as a curtain, and spreadeth them out as a tent to dwell in. Psalms chapter 104, verse 5. Who laid the foundations of the earth, that it should not be removed forever? Psalms chapter 93, verse 1. The Lord reigneth, he is clothed with majesty. The Lord is clothed with strength, wherewith he hath girded himself. The world also is established, that it cannot be moved. Psalms chapter 96, verse 10. Say among the heathen that the Lord reigneth. The world also shall be established, that it shall not be moved. He shall judge the people righteously. Psalms chapter 19, verses 4 through 6. Their line is gone out through all the earth, and their words to the end of the world. In them hath he set a tabernacle for the sun, which is as a bridegroom coming out of his chamber, and rejoiceth as a strong man to run a race. His going forth is from the end of the heaven, and his circuit unto the ends of it, and there is nothing hid from the heat thereof. Ecclesiastes chapter 1, verse 5. The sun also ariseth, and the sun goeth down, and the hasteth into place where he arose. Job chapter 9, verse 6. Which shaketh the earth out of her place, and the pillars thereof tremble. Job chapter 38, verse 4. Where wast thou when I laid the foundations of the earth? Declare if thou hast understanding. Job chapter 37, verse 3. He directeth it under the whole heavens, and his lightning unto the ends of the earth. Job chapter 28, verse 24. For he looketh to the ends of the earth, and seeth under the whole heaven. Job chapter 11, verse 9. The measure thereof is longer than the earth, and broader than the sea. Job chapter 26, verse 7. He stretcheth out the north over the empty place, and hangeth the earth upon nothing. Proverbs chapter 8, verse 27. When he prepared the heavens, I was there, when he set a compass upon the face of the depth. 1 Chronicles chapter 16, verse 30. Fear before him all the earth, the world also shall be stable, that it be not moved. I'll close with the Isaiah controversy that mentions circle of the earth, but also in the same book he uses the descriptive word ball for something else, so that comparison shows that he knew a difference from circle and ball. Isaiah chapter 40 verse 22. It is he that sitteth upon the circle of the earth, and the inhabitants thereof are as grasshoppers, that stretcheth out as the heavens as a curtain, and spreadeth them out as a tent to dwell in. Isaiah chapter 22 verse 18. He will surely violently turn and toss thee like a ball into a large country. There shalt thou die, and there the chariots of thy glory shall be the shame of thy Lord's house.
I sold my soul to the devil. I know it's a crappy deal. This it came with a few toys like a Happy Meal.
You know, what was going on in my life at 15, and that's how I got introduced to the music industry. I swear I wanted to be like the Amy Grant of music. Yeah. But it didn't work out, and so I sold my soul to the devil.
Why do you still do it? Why are you still out here?
Well, it goes back to the destiny thing. I mean, I made a bargain with it, you know, a long time ago, and I'm holding up my end.
What was your bargain?
To get where I am now.
Should I ask who you made the bargain with?
with the chief commander.
On this earth?
And this earth, and then in a world we can't see.
You know, it's sounding a little bit strange, and I'm like, if you don't get this right now, I swear to Lucifer, I'm gonna, I get a little bit mad.
How did Satan deceive the world? Well, you can be rest assured he didn't put on his finest suit and walk the streets and promote himself as the truth. He didn't get on a radio station and deceive the world in his own character. And he most certainly didn't get on a television show or on the news or become a politician under the name Satan, that you would vote him in and he would deceive you in that way. You see, Satan would prefer that you didn't know he exists, at least those that are not at the very top of his system. Here's how Satan deceived the world. He created a system of people that were so greedy and so ambitious and so selfish and so worldly and so sinful that they would sell their souls for a piece of his kingdom. When he offered Jesus the kingdom, and kingdom said, no, thanks. Jesus never denied that he owned the kingdoms, because Satan absolutely 100% did own them. He earned them when Adam and Eve sold out to sin. Satan took dominion of the world, and he has built kingdoms, and he has sold those kingdoms to people that I would refer to as being very spineless and very foolish. He has tricked and deceived them, and their job is to deceive the world. You see, Satan doesn't get on CNN or Fox News. He doesn't get on the BBC or the ABC News as himself and deceive the world. No, you see, the people that are deceiving the world are the people that he has put in positions of influence and conditioning. All of these people that you call experts and all of these people that you call authorities, these are the people that he is using to deceive the world. How did Satan deceive the world? He deceived the world because you believe in these people. You believe that your national news stations are reporting the truth. You believe that your education systems are telling you the truth. You believe NASA is telling you the truth. You believe science is telling you the truth. You believe these religious leaders are telling you the truth. These are the people that are put in places of authority in your life. These are your experts. These are the people that you believe have the knowledge and the education and the intelligence. So for that reason, you believe them. You never question them. Satan has you believing his deceptions through those he has deceived. These people are deceived. All of these politicians and all of these celebrities, your Neil deGrasse Tysons, your Barack Obamas, your Clintons, your Bushes, they're all deceived. Your Brad Pitts, your Angelina Jolies, your Madonnas, your Beyoncés, your Jay-Z's. These are all people that have sold their souls. These are the people that Satan uses to deceive the world. Satan doesn't get on national television as himself and lie to you. He gets the people that he has placed in positions of authority, positions of celebrity, positions of influence, to lie to you, and that's why you are deceived. It's a system designed to deceive a world. So when you hear that the world is not a spinning wet ball and the world is flat, you automatically get angry and upset and want to curse and swear and freak out and name call and insult because you never ever questioned that before. You feel there's no reason to question it because you were told on good authority. Experts, professionals, educated people told you. So because they told you, it's 100% correct. You never questioned it. That's how you got deceived, because you were also convinced not to question authority, not to question high education, not to question professionals or experts. That's how he got you. You look to these authorities in the world for your truth, and whatever they say, you just believe it. You've been deceived. You've been greatly deceived, and he did it through people that were ambitious enough in the world to sell their souls at the cost of deceiving you. They don't care. They have all the money, they have all the fame, they have all the fortune, they have the lifestyles, they feel very proud about themselves. Everything is great in their lives. They don't care that they received it by deceiving you. To them, that doesn't matter. Ha ha, who cares? Satan knew exactly who to pick to deceive you. He knew you would believe them if the formula was laid out correctly, if the plan was structured properly, if the deception was veiled correctly. You would believe. And all of you people out there that go and vote for politicians when they come up for election, that say, yeah, we know politicians lie, but you still go vote, that means you believe that they tell the truth. You believe in your politicians knowing full well they're liars. The problem is you don't understand to what degree, and what I'm telling you is they lie to the nth degree, because Satan is in control of the conditioning of this world, and he has conditioned it to be greatly deceived. And that's why you are greatly deceived and listen to nothing but deceivers. You have never known the truth in this life. There are Christians that know Christ that don't know the truth. They are still holding on to the deceptions because their egos can't let go of the world that they love. And that's exactly what it ends up being. You love this world. You have no understanding of how deceived it is. Therefore, you as a result are deceived. Satan deceived this world by using people that he knew you would trust. He put name tags on them, experts, professionals, authorities. And he knew that you guys would take the bait. And you did. Especially you Christians who claim you understand Scripture. Especially you Christians that want to sit up here and talk about how you're in the truth while you have 90% of your life in the world, which is a lie. You claim the truth. You claim Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. But you're afraid to let go of this world for fear that you're going to let go of your own identity. And what I'm telling you is that your identity is now in Christ, not this world. This world is an absolute 100% deception. He deceived this world by putting people in positions that you would believe. And that's exactly what happened. You believe them. You're deceived.
Friends, I pray, sir, you gotta repent, sir. You gotta repent, sir, for murdering babies.
Why?
Because it's a sin before God.
Why?
Wow.
Stinky breath.
Yeah,
Why?
that's pretty evil of you, sir.
Yeah, I am.
And I hope and pray that you.
Yeah.
Well, that's what you do to babies, huh?
Yeah, I love it.
You love it, huh?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, I hope that you come to Christ, sir.
Oh, I never go to Christ.
I hope that you come to Christ,
no,
sir.
I don't go to Christ.
Yeah,
I don't listen to Christ.
You will have a darkened heart, sir.
I do have a darkened heart. Yeah.
You have a darkened heart.
I do, very, very much so.
And you will stand before God in judgment day.
Yes, I will. Every day.
You will stand before God in judgment day.
Yes, I will. Every day.
All of the babies that you have
love it.
killed.
I love it.
Yeah, keep tearing the babies apart.
Yeah, I will.
Keep tearing the babies
I
apart.
will.
Keep tearing the babies apart.
Oh.
Yeah, sir. The babies, their blood screams from the ground.
A couple of years ago in Indiana, a house was demon-possessed. The mother, her children, all kinds of weird things were happening in that home. Two of the most disturbing physical manifestations were witnessed by several medics and law enforcement officials. The first, Rosa recalled, was during a visit to a family physician, Dr. Geoffrey Onyecum, on April the 19th, 2012. Both focused on the youngest child, then 7. She recalled, I saw it trying to come out of him. It was trying to break loose in front of the door. It, of course, is she's referring to a demon. His head was turning, his eyes rolled back, his mouth went crazy. He started talking in tongues. Then it threw my grandson completely across the floor. The nurse who witnessed this would not go back into the room while the doctor, realizing this was well beyond his capabilities, called police and paramedics to take the child and his brother, now listen carefully, both unconscious, to Gary ER, to an emergency room. When there, in an emergency room, in the grips of demonic possession, his grandmother maintained her youngest grandson, growling and gurning, walked backwards toward a wall, then glided up it, walking backwards to above her head, holding her hands all the way as she tried to coax him down and it out, the demon, before flipping over her head and landing on the floor. The child had no reaction, no recollection of the event that was witnessed by the nurses, social workers, and paramedics, all of whom recorded it in official reports. Did you get this? This happened in an emergency room and was witnessed by nurses, social workers, paramedics, and they recorded it in their official records. The official records constitute over 600 pages of material about what happened that day. In USA Today, that was published a couple of days ago in reference to the same event, it says this. It says that the 7-year-old stared into his brother's eyes and began to growl again. It's time to die, the boy said in a deep, unnatural tone. I'm going to kill you. While the youngest boy spoke, the older brother started headbutting his grandmother in the stomach. His grandmother grabbed her grandson's hands and started praying. What happened next would rattle the witnesses, and to some it would offer not only evidence, but proof of paranormal activity. According to Washington, and this is the DCS representative, according to her report, an account corroborated by Walker, the nurse, the 9-year-old had a weird grin and walked backward up a wall to the ceiling. He then flipped over Campbell, landing on his feet. He never let go of his grandmother's hand. He walked up the wall, flipped over her, and stood there, Walker told the Star. There's no way he could have done that. Now, when you hear something like that, you have to say to yourself, did that really happen? You've got to ask yourself the question, did this really happen? It happened. If it did happen, there is absolutely no logical, scientific explanation for why it happened. Now, I've read a number of responses from atheists, agnostics, skeptics, and what have you. And most of them, without doubt, say this. Well, I wasn't that making a difference. I don't believe that stuff. I just don't believe in that. I believe it's all made up, a bunch of hallucinogenic stuff going on. Crazy people. I don't believe it. Now, let me tell you what, atheist, agnostic, and skeptic, let me tell you why you don't believe it. You've got a motive behind why you don't believe it. You don't believe it not because you've considered the facts, not because you'll even take time to check it out. You don't believe it because it comes exactly contrary, face on, against your God. Your God is science, falsely so called. And this is something that your God cannot handle. This goes way above and beyond anything that human ability can define. So therefore, you reject it outright. Why? Because you do not want anyone to step into your life and tear down your little castle and tell you how to live.
The principalities and reminding the powers and telling them who you are and what's going to happen. That's when you get an attitude. We have access to God with boldness and confidence. We can go boldly to the throne of God. We can go confidently to Him. But what does the devil do? He keeps bringing up your past. He keeps bringing up your failures. He keeps bringing up your shortcomings. I'm not going to God on the basis of my righteousness, not my righteousness. I'm going on the basis of His righteousness and who He